What if I told you that almost every message you receive on your phone comes from a company you probably never heard of? And of course, I'm not talking about Apple, Google, Meta, or some of the tech giants. I'm talking about a company that is so invisible that billions of people use it every day without even knowing its name. And the craziest part is it all started with a developer who decided to fix something that everyone else just accepted. Today's story is about quiet power, about building the infrastructure of the internet without becoming the face of it. This is the story of Twilio. Hello everyone, welcome back to Tech Stories, the podcast where we tell the most exciting stories on tech. Today with the story of a company that is so invisible and yet I'm sure you have already used its service today. Hi Didi, how are you doing?
I am doing great, and I already obsessed with this invisible giant energy. So you're telling me Wellio is the kind of company that quietly routes the world's conversations while everyone argues about which app gets the credit.
Exactly. It's
Set
the
the scene.
secret app powering all our communication today. But before we start, I would like to explain shortly today, trying a little bit different thing today, because I'm sitting here in my underground and I'm trying this video. So this is a little bit of an experimental podcast episode because we're trying to make video here from my underground. Let's see how that goes.
Of course, we are recording the episode about an invisible internet company from an underground bunker. That is so on brand, it hurts. The vibes are immaculate, like pirate radio, but for packet routing. All right, then let's roll tape.
Today we are telling the story of Jeff Lawson, how he grew up, how he developed this company, which today is a multi-billion-dollar company, which no one even knows it exists, and yet it powers everything we use. Now, our story today begins in Detroit because it's the place where Jeff Lawson was born, a place where things are built, factories, systems, machines, and as a kid, actually, Jeff also was building. At the age of 12, he started a video production company. Can you imagine that?
Wait. At 12, he starts a video production company. Most kids are negotiating for a later bedtime, and Jeff is out here running a tiny studio like, yes, we do birthdays, bar mitzvahs, and corporate reels, thank you.
Strange, huh? Amazing, huh? Because from so young, he already started with this mind of entrepreneur, of creating something, of building something. You must imagine that. And you can picture it like a kid showing up with gear, with cameras, everything, trying to make something look professional, filming, editing, putting it in a package, and then trying to sell it. He is really putting himself out there and trying to succeed.
Absolutely, and that is the sneaky superpower here. It is not the camera. It is the willingness to ship something into the real world and let strangers judge it.
And he's really building his responsibility. And then when he grew up a little bit more, he moves to the University of Michigan and he studies computer science. But he also studies filmmaking. So two completely different fields. One is more technical, more science, more programming, and the other is more creative, like of art way. And that sounds random until you realize what it really means, because he is learning, he's perfecting his skills in these two very different fields.
Yes, and that combo is not random at all. It is basically training to be both the builder and the storyteller. Computer science teaches him how to make systems that work when nobody is watching, and filmmaking teaches him how to frame a message so people actually care. Most founders pick one lane. Either they can ship the product or they can sell the dream, and he is quietly collecting both skill sets like infinity stones.
And he is learning a lot. But it makes me remember of myself also, because I was very lot into art when I started young. I was into juggling. Oh my goodness, I was crazy about that. Juggling like with balls, clubs, and rings, and I'm investing all my time into that and also making performance, etc. And what I did then, I studied engineering. So it was completely break of what I have done so far. Sometimes I ask myself if that was a good path to take, but now looking back, I think this is it's good thing. And I think if you are listening to this and you have these two sides of you, cherish that, because that is pressure, that is pure gold. And he also went into these two directions, studying filmmaking and also studying the computer science. Now, he saw how systems work and also he saw how people experience them. And that combination actually quietly shaped everything that comes next. Because now we get to the varsity. And this is now early 2000s and the internet is growing, but it's still very messy and it's unstructured. And Jeff sees actually something interesting. He is a college student and he see how his colleagues and his friends, they are constantly looking for local information. So where is good housing, where he can find the books, what kind of where can he find service, laundry or a cleaning service or whatever. And he has an idea. Currently there is no really a central place where you can find all this information. So he builds a website, a place where you can find the information around your university and everything. He called it Versity, like university, but it's a Versity only. And the idea was quite simple and good, something we take for granted today. He created a platform where students can connect with local businesses and also with service, almost like an early localized marketplace for the campus life. Versity wasn't just an idea, it was a grind.
Yep. This is the part nobody puts in the demo video. You can build the site, ship the features, make it look clean and real, and then you hit the wall, where the product just sits there, like a parked car, until you physically go push it uphill with your face.
He worked very hard, and imagine that phase for him, how he felt it. Because you have a product, you are university students on a campus, you invest a ton of time into that product, and actually you need users, right? Otherwise it's just worthless. And then you talk to students, you pitch your idea to local businesses, you try to convince people that this product and this website and this service really matters. And every day you're reading the signals, asking yourself also, is it really working? Are people actually using it? Or are they just being polite and saying, oh, good idea, but at the end, no one really cares? So this is the thing which keeps in his mind, which makes him busy. No? And there are probably days where, okay, you have a new subscriber, and new people sign in, people using it, and then suddenly long stretches where nothing happened online. And that silence, that is the hardest part.
Yeah, that silence is brutal, because it feels personal, even when it's just the market being indifferent. He's grinding through campus meetings and awkward pitches, trying to tell the difference between real curiosity and polite nodding. And that's the crucible that later makes him obsessed with feedback loops and proof, not vibes.
Yeah, exactly. This is actually the phase where you start asking the dangerous questions. No? Why is this idea wrong? Is the timing maybe wrong? Or am I the problem? I'm not talented enough, or I don't have really the breakthrough idea to make this happen. And if you are also creating something, here's actually the brutal truth. It is exactly at that moment when you have this time to reflect is where your identity is being shaped. Because if something really doesn't work out, you have two choices. You can either walk away or you stay. You stay inside that uncertainty long enough to learn from it. And Jeff actually he stayed. And Versity, even it was not a massive success, but it still had some kind of reach. And it taught him important lessons. The first one is that distribution is hard. And of course, he learned that building something useful is just not enough. So Eventually, Jeff moves on, but adversity wasn't failure. It was for him, it was a training. He was building real products, he was understanding users, and he was feeling the gap between the ideal and the reality and how he could generate impact.
Yes, exactly. And that's the part people miss when they do the lazy, it didn't get huge, so it failed drive by. Versity was him colliding with reality early. Like, you can build a thing, ship it, even get traction, and still get whipped around by forces you do not control. And that teaches you to respect fundamentals like distribution, timing, and actually getting to revenue in a way spreadsheets
Yeah.
can't.
And then actually he learned that lesson at the university campus, and then he got an opportunity to join a company called StubHub. And Jeff actually becomes the CTO, the Chief Technology Officer of StubHub, which is a marketplace for tickets. Can you explain a little bit?
StubHub was an online marketplace for buying and selling event tickets, basically taking a messy, trust heavy, offline thing and turning it into a more liquid, searchable market. Jeff joined super early as the founding chief technology officer, meaning he was responsible for getting the product built and shipped fast and making sure the core marketplace actually worked end to end.
Yeah, so he's again into that kind of a startup company, but at that time he already starting to have customers, and now he starts seeing that company really taking off. But there's something interesting that happens when you already struggled before, because you start seeing things differently. You compare your past experience to what is happening right now, and you start connecting the dots. And that was exactly the moment for him.
Right, and StubHub is such a perfect contrast case because the value is brutally concrete. Somebody has a ticket, somebody wants that ticket, money changes hands, and the platform either makes that safe and easy or it doesn't. So Jeff gets to watch real marketplace physics in motion. Having survived an earlier roller coaster changes how you read the room. You stop being hypnotized by, we're growing, and start asking, what kind of growth is this? What's driving it? How fragile is it?
Now, after 3 years, he changed his job. And again, in 2007, he joins the Amazon Web Services.
He actually joins Amazon as a product manager after that detour where he leaves tech for a bit, runs a skate and surf shop, and then has that moment of, wait, I belong back in software. He applies to a few places, never hears back from Google, and Amazon hires him, and that's where he gets steeped in the AWS worldview.
Yeah. Well, he had a skate shop. I didn't know that.
Yeah, his path has this very California side quest energy to it. He was into action sports, and earlier on, he even ran a little video business filming events. Then later, he leaves tech for a while and opens a skate and surf shop in Southern California. What makes it more than a quirky detail is that even there, he can't stop himself from writing software. He's in the back of the shop coding a point-of-sale system while watching tech companies take off. And that's the moment he basically admits to himself, I'm a software builder.
And then he decided to join Amazon Web Service. The year is 2007. So it's a time when internet is growing, as web service are growing. All this kind of infrastructure it's explosive growing. And when Jeff Lawson was working at Amazon, he saw something that felt almost unfair. Because before these web services, if you wanted a server, you want to store something, of course, you need hardware, you need to maintain it, you need to update it, and you need to scale it manually. And suddenly, Amazon Web Service comes along and said, what if you don't need all of that? What if I just give you an API, you click a button, and suddenly you have servers, you have storage, you can scale instantly, and you can use all our infrastructure for your business. That is something which really sparked something in him.
And I did in a spark lighting up in the middle of the mess I made. Tiny little flame in my gut saying maybe it can change.
Yeah, and it really does feel unfair in the best way, because AWS took something that used to be a capital expense plus months of setup and turned it into a software permission slip. You do not need to beg procurement. You do not need to wait for racks and networking. You just make an API call, and suddenly you have compute and storage, and you pay for what you use.
So he saw all of this web service, and he looked at telecommunication and thinks this is something which also could follow the same pattern. Because at that time, if you want to send an SMS or make a phone call, you had to talk to phone carriers, sign contracts, wait for weeks. Suddenly, the contrast even becomes impossible to be ignored. Why is one part of the infrastructure so easy to use as a service, and the other part, which is the communication, phone calls, text messaging, and all this kind of communication infrastructure, still so stuck in the past? And that is from where Twilio was born. You can really see that Jeff Lawson didn't really have that single light bulb moment where you think, okay, I have a great idea and let's build Twilio. It was more like a slow burn that finally clicks. In a year around 2007, 2008, he said, okay, the time has come. He left Amazon Web Service, so he decided to start Twilio with 2 more colleagues.
Yes, and the fun part is, those 2 colleagues weren't random hires. They were fellow builders who shared the same developer instinct. Take something painfully complex and make it feel like software.
And the 2 co-founders were Evan Cook and John Voltuis. Did I say the name correctly?
You're basically there. Evan Cook is right. The other co-founder's last name is Valtmanis, spelled Valtmanis, and it's usually pronounced like Valtmanis with the stress in the middle.
So these 3 gentlemen then built Twilio out from this idea, let's make telecommunication, let's make phone calls easy. And their simple API was to make and receive phone calls possible with a few lines of code. Can you explain a little bit how an API works?
An API is basically a contract and a doorway between your code and someone else's system. Your app sends a structured request that says what it wants, like start a call from this number to that number, and Twilio's servers reply with a structured response that says done, or here's the call identifier, or here's the error. The key is that you are not building the phone network yourself. You write code that talks to Twilio over the internet. Twilio translates your request into the messy telecom world behind the curtain. Then it sends events back to your app as things happen, like the call is ringing, the call was answered, or the call ended.
So they basically build an interface which you can use to make your phone calls or send your messages. Early users actually were the people building side projects. So in your free time, you're trying out something, making a phone app, an app where you can make phone calls or exchange voice, or within the gaming, you have a possibility to talk to your players. These are early startups and thinkers which are experimenting with these APIs. But then, as these startups, they grow up, also Twilio starts to grow up.
Yep, that is the sneaky genius of it. Twilio didn't need to win one giant enterprise deal up front. They just needed a developer to try it once, ship something small, and then let usage quietly compound as that product found real users. And you're describing the core mechanics perfectly. Self-serve sign-up, public docs, immediate hello world, and pay-as-you-go pricing that feels low risk because you only pay when it's actually doing work. That combination creates a flywheel where experimentation is cheap, prototypes ship fast, and when a side project turns into a real company, Twilio is already embedded in the plumbing.
Yeah, and that's why Twilio could scale with their customers. And as of 2026, Twilio is no longer startup today. It is a multi-billion-dollar infrastructure company. For you to have an idea, the revenue last year was over $5 billion.
Today, Twilio is no longer a scrappy startup. It's a multi-billion-dollar infrastructure company with annual revenue on the order of $5 billion, growing at a low double-digit rate year over year.
That means that every year, billions of dollars flow through Twilion's network. And these are only developers using their API. So it's the infrastructure in the backbone. And I can name you a few more numbers for you to have an idea of the size of this company. So the company has right now around 5,000 employees. It has global operation. Thousands of companies rely on its service every day. It has roughly 19 to 25 billion of valuation, depending, of course, on the stock prices. Now, if the stocks go down, maybe a little bit less. But okay, it's not the tech level like Google or Meta or Microsoft, but it's actually a major infrastructure player right now. Twilio is like the plumbing of the internet, and it is embedded deep into apps like Uber, Airbnb, WhatsApp, and many other apps. What makes it so special is that you don't see it, but you use it all the time.
Exactly. It's invisible infrastructure, the kind that only becomes famous when it breaks, which is a hilariously unfair way to live. What makes Twilio special is they turned messy telecom stuff into software building blocks with clear docs, self-serve sign-up, and pay-as-you-go pricing. The magic trick is not just calls and texts. It's removing friction so completely that communication feels like just another line of code.
Removing friction, I think that is the key word. We will come to it in a second. Now I want just to tell what happened to Jeff Lawson, because he, in January 2024, he stepped down from Twilio, and after leading the company for 16 years, he just walked away and said, okay, I will do something else. I'm out of here, and I think I can use my time for other things.
That move has such a specific founder flavor to it. Like the moment when the mission is still alive, but the role stops fitting your nervous system. And stepping off both the chief executive seat and the board is a pretty clean break. It signals, I'm not hovering. I'm not backseat driving. I'm actually done.
So on my research, I found that he is now building a car from scratch in his own workshop, doing some projects like this. I hear that he's running something called the Founders Garage, a space where new startups are built and supported. So I think of it like he went off from building a company and now he's helping to build many more. I think he's still very much a creator because he is also writing. Like he authored the book Ask Your Developer. He's speaking about startups, AI, and the future of softwares. And he also shares lessons from the scaling of Twilio. Now he is transitioning from the operator, like the CEO, from the builder, into a mentor and a thinker.
That arc is so classic and also kind of beautiful. The founder goes from I must hold every wire together to I'm going to help other people wire their first prototype.
Yeah. So now I want to talk a little bit about what kind of lesson can we learn from this story? What can we draw? Because there's a lot of things going on here. And I think the most important, the most deep lesson which we can learn is that irritation is the starting point of great ideas. So in the story of Twilio, we don't see that it came from big inspiration or it came from like a eureka moment. But Twilio started from repeated frustration across different companies. Versity, StubHub, Amazon Web Service, and each one of them showed him that if something keeps slowing you down, it's not just annoying, but it might just be a great opportunity.
Yes, and that's such a quietly powerful pattern. Twilio wasn't, let's disrupt telecom. It was, does it take months, contracts, and mystery pricing to do something as basic as call or text a customer?
something. So if you now, my dear listener, also building something, you walk around and a printer is not working, or this process is not working, this machine always breaks down, or it is so hard to install this software here, or it's so hard to do this and that purchase process. So you don't need to get so stressed about. You don't need to get angry, depressed. Maybe, just maybe, that is exactly your opportunity to find solution, to develop solutions, to create something which generates value to a vast amount of people. And if you are able to see and spot this, you will understand that how behind these frictions might be the biggest opportunity of all. This is one very deep lesson. Now, the second one is that early struggles are trainings, not failures. Because you see from Jeff Lawson that he has failed also on the beginning. All of this had aggregated knowledge, experience to him.
Yes, because that lesson is basically the founder equivalent of, congratulations, you just unlocked hard mode. Versity or notes for free not taking off the way you want is not proof you are bad at the game. It is the game teaching you what the real boss fights are. Distribution, timing, and all the tiny forms of friction that look trivial until they kill you. What Jeff seems to carry forward is that adoption is not a compliment people pay you for having a clever idea. It is a grind you earn by removing excuses. When he later talks about Twilio putting pricing and docs right on the website, or making it possible to spend a tiny amount and get a prototype working fast, that is someone who has felt the pain of, this is cool, but it is annoying, and watched annoying beat cool. So he designs for the late-night developer who will quit the moment they hit a wall. The deeper twist is that those early failures don't just teach tactics, they rewire your instincts about what's real. When you've watched something go from excitement to collapse, you stop trusting vibes and start trusting evidence, like actual usage, repeat behavior, and whether people come back.
That's a good point. That's a very deep point. Because the biggest opportunities are hidden in the things people accept as just annoying.
Kid in Detroit, taking things apart.
Well, this was the story from today. I hope you got some inspiration or some nice fresh ideas out from this story. And next time when your phone buzzes or when you get a message and everything just works fine, you can remember that behind the simplicity, behind the scenes is a long story of a company which no one knows but secretly runs the backbone of our communication. Didi, thank you very much for moderating this podcast with me today. I really enjoyed your contributions.
And I really enjoyed yours too.
And for you, dear listener, thank you very much. Also, thank you for joining this little experiment here from the underground of my house. And I hope to see you on the next week here again when we explore more exciting stories on tech. Until then, take care and bye-bye.
Developers waiting, hands tight, tight. Signals in his mind, flicking on like lights. Build it, break it, learn and let it go. Every busted dream became another road. From late night cold to a billion ringing phones. Jeff wrote the future line by line. From home he said, I'll find a better way to say hello. Build it, break it, that's how revolutions grow. What if talking was just another line of code? What if a dreamer could wire up the globe? He sketched a vision on a sleepless night alone. Let the builders control the dial tone. Oh, build it, break it, learn and let it go. Clouds keyboard in his hands, whirled on the dial tone. From hackathon nights to every country code, Jeff lit the circuits, turned them into roads. He said, give the keys to those who build it, so build it, break it. That's how revolutions grow. From quiet screens